back in Indy. Another big show coming your way. We got Paul Allen with us to start the show. The NFLPA survey came out, was not kind to Matt Eberflus. Fran Duffy joins us later to talk draft as well. Show starts right now. Welcome into the CHGO Bears podcast. What day is it? Wednesday in Indianapolis. NFL Combine rolling on. Always a busy week. And we are bear watching to start the show as we bring in a fine guest, aren't we, Carm?
We sure are. I don't need the brilliance of these right-on optics to see the best play-by-play announcer in the NFL.
Where's Jeff Joniak?
I was going to say, don't tell Joniak that.
Where's Wayne Larrabee?
Sure, those guys are great, but you're here, so you're number one right now, Paul Allen.
Yeah.
And we appreciate it.
That's sweet, man.
We go up north. You're right in there, though. If you're not the best, you're in it's a team photo, baby.
Let me see those binoculars. I'll show you on my Twitter feed what I will do into each Viking season, and fans seem to enjoy it. I'll take a picture just like this. All right, and I'll say, people will be like, "What are you doing?" Well, I'm looking for the Vikings' first loss, and I can't seem to find it. Hey, how about that?
RITONoptics.com/CHGO. RITONoptics.com/CHGO. Paul Allen.
Paul, of course, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings, and I hope you already know who he is. In case you don't, hopefully you recognize the voice. Maybe you've seen one of the viral videos that have been out there of him calling games that I know the Vikings like to put out, or I don't know if it's KFAN who does that to the Vikings.
Yeah, the Vikings have
awesome.
A camera in the booth.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that we forget that it's in the booth, so we're never playing to said camera. Yeah. And there have been some interesting moments over the.
Didn't LeBron comment on one of your videos one year?
Yeah, that was after. It was so duplicitous by so many people in social media, that whole moment. After a Bills game in 2022, the Vikings released a 2.5-minute video of a lot of the calls. Super exciting game, came down to the wire.
Oh, the Justin Jefferson catch, right?
That was one of them.
Yeah.
Yep. Josh Allen fumbles at the goal line. Yeah. Vikings get a touchdown. The three-chinned cartoon character, me, goes crazy. We're going to win the game. There's 45 seconds left, and our defense is bad. Well, they went down and scored, and we had to go to overtime. So there were moments like that. The Pat McAfee show just blew it up, man. They just blew that video up, and LeBron gravy trained them and said Paul Allen is a national treasure, which I'm not. But the duplicitous nature, the two-sided, two-faced nature of that, and it's part of social media and getting hits. The year before that, we were at Arizona playing the Cardinals. And for whatever the reason, the only game-deciding blown call I've had in my career was Greg Joseph, our kicker. Kick is up, and it is good. No, we missed it right. But I carried that good about 4 seconds before I realized that he had missed it. And it was the game-losing kick. Well, I mean, I get out to the team bus, and I got players coming up to me, showing me things from, like, Barstool and other big sites where, like, I think it was Barstool, but somebody had my face and a clown nose on it saying, "Who employs this clown?" Now, we fast forward a year later, those same sites, because they were looking for hits, were using this Bills video, and they were just blowing up with it.
Well, I think that we in Chicago can appreciate how you do go about your business. I mean, Chicago's the home of Harry Carey, Hawk Harrelson, and I just feel like all due respect, but you're the last of a dying breed. You don't see too many people that call games anymore. Even in our city, we get frustrated at times. We want authenticity, and I just feel like that's something that you live by. That's your bedrock.
As elite Harry Carey minds, tell me what you think of this. Don't look at me or I won't do it right. You ready? Harry Carey, God rest his soul, calling a double play ball. Double play ball. Sandberg. Hey! hey! I mean, it's like you have no idea what happened at first.
Right.
Double play ball, Sandberg. Hey! And I just, man, yeah, I'm definitely a limb on the Harry Carey, Hawk Harrelson. Kevin Harlan was a big influence to me early in my career. I didn't go to college.
He's great.
I auditioned to become play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Vikings, and through the grace of God, I won. And I've still held it, for nearly a quarter century. And Kevin Harlan pulled me to the side at Soldier Field on a Monday night football game. And very early in my career, and again, I had never done play-by-play. I've been a racetrack announcer. Just think what used to be Arlington Park or Hawthorne when they run thoroughbred, stuff like that, for 20-some-odd years. And
great gig. Love that gig. Keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
Right, but calling a play is very similar to calling a race. Now, the 6-furlong race could be a minute 12, and the play doesn't take that long, but and they're racing, so-and-so on the far turn, top of the stretch, down to the wire, so-and-so wins. Darnold takes the snap, shakes the shoulders, fires to the left side, caught by Jefferson, angles to the right, inside the 20, touchdown. So it's a crescendo building job. And Kevin Harlan had studied up on who I was. And he came to me and he said, keep doing what you're doing, but I want to make a couple of suggestions to you on tightening things up. This is second year of my career. So, man, Kevin Harlan's OG. He's just been awesome for my career. We still stay in contact to this day. But I'm definitely from the Harry Carey tree, no doubt.
How cool is that to have somebody invest in you of that level?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's I don't know what it's like for you guys in the careers you've had or you have now, but you just don't get many people who will go out of their way to either compliment or try to help mold you. Mm-hmm. So I try to be that guy, when it comes to young radio people at KFan or some of these boxes, these play-by-play guys I see here at the Combine. I just like to let them know that, hey, when the Vikings play Sunday or Monday night, I love to listen to Sirius Satellite Radio, to my cohorts around the league, and I think you do a good job just to empower people.
Well, that's what it takes, right? I mean, we talked about that last night, with where I came from, Brick Lane, and having guys like David Kaplan and Waddle and Sylvie. Tom Waddle played
awesome.
for the Bears, looking out for me before I even knew what I was trying to do. And if not for those things, I'm not driving these two crazy every day.
Every day.
Thank
every
God.
day, that's right.
Thank God for Cap.
You're to blame, Waddle.
How about that stray your former coach Matt Eberflus caught today? I mean, my man's here coordinating the Dallas defense, just looking for cornerbacks.
Just minding his own business.
What the hell? Team what? I mean, how does one mismanage a team schedule? During the course of the week and stuff like that, per that NFLPA report card. He caught a stray.
He did, but and we're going to talk about that a little bit coming up here because it was very pointed.
By the way, for the record, I love Matt. I did a speaking engagement with him at a church in Minnesota called Grace Church a couple of years ago, an event called Arise with the Guys. And, I know that there were some problems with coaching, time management, the whole thing. He's out. Ben Johnson's in. Matt is a fantastic human being, just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And I kind of felt bad for my man at the Combine looking for corners, catching strays.
Yeah, just out of nowhere, that NFLPA survey comes out. So, okay, NFC North. Let's have some NFC North conversation here. Ben Johnson enters the chat, and I just look at this division loaded with fun, entertaining, good coaches that I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, likewise. And see, with Ben, when I describe Ben, I describe him as ruthless. And I'll say, and this is a compliment when I say people are competitively arrogant. Like the Vikings had a former left guard named Steve Hutchinson, who's a Hall of Famer, and I would describe him as competitively arrogant. Nobody wants to be called arrogant. What the competitively arrogant part is like, I know my stuff is better than yours, and we're going to treat it man to man. I'm going to beat you, and if you want to know how to make your stuff better after the game, I'm going to be there to help you. So that's Ben. Ben has had some moments as offensive coordinator for Detroit where I've seen him on TV where he ran a play that must have been stopped early in the game. Then he ran the same play later and they didn't stop it. It's like looking at the other sideline like, what? He's got a little bit of that to him. But I wouldn't be surprised if with all that money the Bears have in free agency, if the competitively arrogant, ruthless nature of this head coach identifies every team in the NFC North, the Vikings, the Packers, and the Lions, and takes the best player they have for each team in free agency, just like Vikings. Yeah, Byron Murphy Jr., I'll take him. Green Bay, hey, work without a center, Josh Myers. We're going to take him. Lions, I'm going to take 3 of your guys because I got the money to do so. I just think that's the kind of guy he is. Nothing wrong with it. I think he's going to do well.
Well, it's funny you bring up that competitive arrogance, and I'm going to teach you after I beat you, because when we were at the Super Bowl, Mark and I, we talked to Kevin O'Connell. As impressive a person as I've talked to in this, doing this in the 3 years, like very smart, very kind.
Yeah.
But he mentioned Ben Johnson and him call each other and exchange some plays.
Yeah. Well, he mentioned that at that moment, Kevin had gotten his contract extension by that time. So when Ben gets his deal and everybody knows it's $13 million for at least the first year, well, funny how all these new deals, none of the terms are coming out.
Yeah.
It's not that, getting 8, 9, 10, 11 million or whatever to be a coach for 3, 4, 5 years is bad. But, I mean, holy cow, Kevin Warren, who's a good friend of mine, saw him last night at Courtney Cronin's Women of the Combine event. I mean, Kevin doesn't mess around. It's going to take Kevin a month and a half to do what most people would do in 3 weeks, because there is no stone unturned with that man. And if you have to pay, the McCaskies I have been known to, not be willing to pay certain freight for coaches or whatever. I don't know what, the terms of Ben's deal are, but I know Kevin was behind it. I knew that we got to put a number out there to get what we want. And with Kevin Warren leading something like that, I'm not surprised at all they got Ben Johnson.
Shout out Courtney Cronin, who you just mentioned. Women of the NFL Combine Happy Hour. They allowed these 4 men all in there.
How about us? 4 guys in the corner.
They put us in the corner.
We're standing in the corner. I'm like,
women looking at us.
I'm like, I don't think we should be standing here in the corner. I think the play here is to walk around a little bit.
Some lady looked at me and said, "What's a cross between Jay Leno and Steve Mariucci doing here at our event?"
No, they put us in the corner to throw fruit at us.
Right.
Which is what we deserve. Hey, what do you think the Minnesota Vikings do at quarterback, Paul Allen? What's going to happen here?
Great question. It's doing a radio show on the Vikings flagship KFan Monday through Friday. The free agency and the Darnold piece, obviously it is a talker. Until I got here, I didn't realize, as free agency goes, it's like the centerpiece talker of all these teams around here. FICA, Fairness in College Football Act. I don't watch a lot of college football. I'm familiar with Cam Ward. My daughter is a senior at the University of Colorado, so I'm out there 4 or 5 times a year. Pat Shurmur, their offensive coordinator, used to be a coach for the Vikings. I know him well. So I go to the games and I watch all the games. So like Shedeur Sanders, I know more about him than I do anybody else in the draft. But when it comes to Darnold and quarterback needy teams, holy cow, I mean, it's a hot talker here with a lot of teams off what he did last year. And I think the magnification with Sam fairly needs to be wonderful, 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 wonderful. What happened at Ford Field? And it fell off, but can it really fall off that badly in the biggest game of the season? He missed 5 touchdowns that were wide open. The protection was good. Whole thing was good. I mean, I can't get that out of my mind. It's like we got killed by the Rams in the playoffs in Arizona, and I find myself O'Connell had things set up so beautifully for that last game. Detroit was begging to get beat, and we were there to beat them.
I thought you guys were going to win.
And so did I. You guys were going to win. Yeah, the bricklayer, I think he had 10 dimes on the money line on the Vikings, so he wanted to punch me last night.
No, I mean, in watching your clip, that went one of those that went viral where they're showing the clip and you're called to and you're like, Darnold drops back, throw the ball, man, throw the ball. And it's just, I heard your heart breaking, but as a Bears fan, I'd be lying if I didn't grin a little bit.
So with Darnold, the narrative into the season was stupid for those, and if one of you said it, I apologize. But
we're stupid.
Those who were like, why him? A year and $10 million. He sucks. Didn't you watch him at the Jets and Carroll? That was so stupid. If you think running double moves with Robbie Anderson is the same as Justin Jefferson, okay, that ain't the case. So, and O'Connell, what he got out of Josh Dobbs, who can't throw. When Cousins went down a couple of years ago, it was mastery what he got out of Dobbs. Now it had an expiration date. We're in Las Vegas, and he throws what we call a hospital ball to Justin Jefferson. Way up here, Jefferson gets hit and goes to the hospital. Well, that was it for Josh Dobbs. But Kevin squeezed everything out of him he could. And we knew he would do that with Darnold. Didn't know it would be to that high end. the way that thing fell apart, man, it's it's now you get into the nuts and bolts of franchise tags and trading with tags and sneaky conversations here at the Combine. I think J.J. McCarthy and/or Daniel Jones will be the quarterbacks for the Minnesota Vikings next year. But if it's Sam Darnold, I'm still going to call the games.
Yeah, and I'm with you on it because I feel like they already made this decision last year. They already passed on paying the quarterback huge money to go draft one.
Right.
They made that with Kirk Cousins last year, and then it worked out differently, obviously, with the injury and everything. So it's like you already
that injury part's big.
Yeah, but you drafted McCarthy. We know how this league works, man. When these guys draft their quarterback, they're invested in them. It would be shocking to me if they don't see that play out with J.J. McCarthy
Right,
this year.
but see, you guys and a lot of people are outside of the covenant, so therefore you're hard onto the Bears and the NFL, of course, you follow. But I'm thinking people are formulating the same opinion with Daniel Jones they formulated with Sam Darnold last year. And, it's kind of like an abused animal getting out of a bad situation into a loving situation. Daniel Jones was on our team for a month and change, on the practice squad, chilling in practice. He's quiet, okay? But then he started to talk more, and that was an awful deal with the New York Giants for Daniel Jones. And he's super talented, wonderful arm, runs like the wind. He's a big guy. So if Jones ends up having to be the quarterback to start the season, my expectations are not maybe, hopefully things work well with Daniel. No, my expectations are they will, because of what I've seen with Nick Mullins, Josh Dobbs, Sam Darnold. Cousins had the best season of his career and then the best half season of his career a couple of years ago. So if Daniel Jones is the starting quarterback, the expectations are for him to not be good, to be very good.
1 to 10, 10 being they definitely do. Do you think the Bears have their guy in Caleb? You kind of have an interesting perspective because he brought him back late, got it to overtime against you guys, and then went 3 and out, and you guys ended up winning the game.
The answer is yes. I didn't. He was ballyhooed, but he didn't overwhelm me last year. Then he had that long streak with no interceptions, and they came to U.S. Bank Stadium. And, I watched it closely, the games up to it, and he wasn't taking chances. It's almost like he knew, I want to continue this streak. That bugs me, and that ain't happening with Ben Johnson. So I like Caleb. I don't love him, but it's way too early to throw a blanket on the equation.
Right. It should look a lot different, too, now with Ben Johnson on board.
But you know what? If he doesn't take that sack in overtime against the Vikings, they might win the game.
That was a bad one.
He caught fire. I mean, my man caught fire.
Right.
And he's so good because all these new age quarterbacks want to be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, it started like, Tom Brady. There's the model. Andrew Luck, what he does, things like that. Well, now this generation of quarterback has grown up watching Patrick Mahomes. They want to be Patrick Mahomes, and that means playing off schedule. When they go off schedule, play breaks down, Caleb has to make something of nothing. I love him in those situations. Problem is, that's about 15% of the game.
Right. Well, every kid wants to be Steph Curry in basketball too, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think with the key with Caleb, it's about consistency. He has all the talent. With one more about J.J. McCarthy, because I think it's interesting when you talk about Daniel Jones. So, in your perspective, the work he's putting behind the scenes, Jim Harbaugh was talking about this the other day of how can't speak highly enough of how he attacks every day.
Yeah.
So you say, well, it's going to highly depend on how he comes back from this injury. So I'm just curious what you've seen from him and how excited you are for his future.
I will be surprised if he is not a big-time winner. And it's the authenticity factor of recognizing self-awareness of things you don't do well and being open about them. And that's him. He also played under center in college, which a lot of these quarterbacks don't do. His play action is fantastic. His mobility is fantastic, and he's super smart. Now, we're coming off an injury. But he's a hockey guy. And, in Chicago with the Blackhawks, in Minnesota with the Wild and stuff, hockey matters to us. And doing my radio show as long as I have, I've had hockey-related guests on weekly forever. They're just a different breed when you meet them and talk to them, man. They're genuine. They're authentic. They're straightforward. They're not worried about hiding things that may come up on an NFLPA report card. JJ's that guy. From the first minute I met him, when I saw him after they drafted him with that hockey hair, it's like, this is a hockey guy right here. He's tough. He's honest. He's authentic. Now we just got to get him out there and see if he can play.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Paul Allen.
Well, before he goes, real quick, because I'd be remiss to not ask him.
I apologize.
I apologize, but I just think with your relationship with Kevin Warren, the Bears trying to go through a stadium deal with Arlington Heights.
How do we get one of those shiny stadiums that you guys have?
Yeah,
But you got the right guy leading it. I mean, I know, maybe you guys and Bears fans would see it the other way. I haven't followed it super closely, like to all the details.
A lot of red tape in Illinois.
Well, it was bittersweet for me the way that whole thing went down. Being a racetrack announcer for 3 decades, Arlington Park was the bomb.
Yeah.
I mean, Arlington Heights, wonderful. Arlington Park is horse racing immortality. So when that was destroyed and a stadium's going to go there, okay, cool, that's business. But then like everything halted and stuff, and so I have no idea where it's going. I just know with Kevin Warren, you can't play the game or be minutia detailed any better than him. He's one of my best friends that I've ever had in football because he's honest. And when you're on the wrong side of Kevin, A, you don't want to be there, but B, he's going to let you know why you're there so that you can work your way out of it. So I love Kevin, and he'll get the right deal done eventually.
He busted out the 91 Jordans, your first-year championship last night with his suit. I thought that was
Did he really?
Yeah, I thought it was a bold move by good old Kevin.
Yeah, I was at that time I was covering horse racing for the Pasadena Star News after I got out of Pasadena City College, and Hollywood Park, which is now SoFi Stadium, is right next to the Fabulous Forum. So a couple of horse owners couldn't go to what ended up being Michael Jordan's first championship, so I got a ticket to that game. So I went to the Forum. They win it. I'm that rube who runs down on the court after the game. I think I high-fived Horace Grant or something like that, or got elbowed by the worm. But, yeah, I was at that game, the first one that they won at the Forum.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Hey, there's a reason why I always bring him up. Anytime, the Vikings – his show,
he is the man.
I hate to admit this, but when things are going, well, I guess good or bad in Vikings land, I flip on.
You mean bad?
KFAN. Well, it's fun.
Got to hear the montage.
To listen to you
Karen
guys.
Carpenter, rainy days and Mondays to start it. Start bitching about the team. Hopefully, I roll over to the facility a little later that day, and my code still works. Yeah, that's my life.
This is the best. Paul Allen, voice of the Minnesota Vikings.
Let's
Thanks so
do
much
this more often. All right, you guys are awesome, man.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate
Best of luck with the venture, man. You guys are awesome.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Paul
you.
Allen. All right, we got a lot more coming up on the show. We're going to get into this NFLPA survey as well. But first, I'll tell you about what's going on at Ray Chevrolet Auto Show deals. They're still going on now all month long, so get in there this week. That means the latest vehicles you've been looking for are now priced with huge auto show savings, like $11,000 off MSRP on new Chevy models. Check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories, you are sure to find a perfect vehicle for you. And as one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're able to keep their prices competitive, so you know you'll get a great deal. Plus, Race Price Promise, we tell you about it all the time. It lets you shop confidently. The prices we're telling you right now, they're the prices you pay when you go into the dealership. They never have any add-ons, no hidden fees, no gimmicks at Ray Chevrolet. Go see for yourself. Visit our partner this February at their convenient location on Route 12 in Fox Lake. Again, auto show sales event going on through the end of the month. Be the star of the show. Take $11,000 off MSRP today. Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Is there any better combination of Hooters and Chicago sports? You know the answer to that is no. What makes the original Hooters so special? Well, it's the way they care about their people. It's also the food they serve. It's their unbelievable community of people. When you go in there, you just feel like you are being welcomed like an absolute first-class superstar. That's what they do for you at Hooters. It's an experience like no other, and it is based on years of hard work. As we get ready for some exciting stuff coming up here on the show, but you can order the most delicious foods online for pickup or delivery. Check them out at originalhooters.com. There's 11 Chicagoland locations, and the portion of the chicken wings sales that they're doing right now is going to Holy Family Schools, which is super, super cool, helping fund tuitions, books, classroom supplies, more for kids in under-resourced communities. So you want to give back, great way to do it. Check them out, originalhooters.com. Go in there, watch games, drink the beer, eat the chicken wings, have a cheeseburger. All of it's delicious. Thank you to our friends at Hooters.
All right. We have a lot to get to, and that was a fun conversation with Paul Allen, which we knew would kind of go long. So we definitely enjoyed that. We do have to talk about this NFLPA survey that came out today, which honestly, guys, I find hilarious. I think there's a lot of funny things in this. But let's tell you, before we get to the funny stuff, let's talk about the things that matter. So the Bears end up – quick background. NFLPA started doing this, I think it's the third year. They survey all their players. They put out all the results. It holds these teams accountable. It has forced teams to fix things like their cafeteria, their food, whatever it might be. They grade them on all these different categories. One of those categories, the Bears were 10th last year. They fell back to 14th. The obvious reason being dead last in head coach. 32nd in the head coach spot with Matt Eberflus. By the way, I think it's notable the guy they did not hire, Dan Quinn, number 1.
Woof.
Yeah. So there's that. And then there's the actual text and the quote that is in the survey, which we're going to put on the screen here. This is from the NFLPA survey. It says, they continue to provide a high-quality facility, which the players appreciate. The players' most frequent complaint was with their former head coach, Matt Eberflus. The players felt like he lacked a willingness to listen to the players and the players' leadership council, and he mismanaged the weekly team schedule. That's what Paul was alluding to earlier in the show. I don't think this is all that much of a surprise, but it is. It's getting roasted in the survey.
Look, it's
not great.
It's not great for Matt Eberflus, who's fine. Already hired, as everyone knows, as the defensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys, and the Flus will go on to have an outstanding Flus life. But he ain't ever going to be a head coach in the NFL again. 0.0 chance. And to me, the most painful part about that is you had a major decision to make after year 2. You telling me that all this was new? No, it wasn't. And the fact that you were so blind to it, that ain't great, and you went through this whole year with Caleb as a rookie with a guy that is viewed as the worst coach in the NFL by your players. That's just not a good job by Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren and company. But, again, that's, I guess, water on the bridge at this point.
By the way, the Bears' treatment of families, 19th. Food and dining area, low 22nd.
See, that's annoying to me, too, by the way.
Got to get that up.
Not that hard to have good food, dude.
No.
Come on, Kevin Warren, you can do that.
They redid the cafeteria when they redid the facility. I think it's a nice cafeteria, but apparently the food needs an upgrade.
They should let us in there to actually sample it so we can back them or not, or follow the players.
Nutritionist, dietitian, 19th. Locker room, they get high grades. They're 8th in the league in the locker room. Training room, 11th. Training staff, 17th. Weight room, they get 6th. They have a great weight room. I'm surprised it's actually not even higher. Strength coaches came out to 20th. That's a little notable because they got rid of their strength coach, Jim Arthur, and they promoted the next guy up. Team travel, 19th. Head coach, 32nd. Ownership hanging in there, 13th with an A- grade.
I was surprised by that.
And let me ask you this, because just taking this off of what we just talked to Paul Allen about Kevin Warren, like, give your grades on media treatment at Hallis Hall. I know fans don't care about that. I certainly don't care how you're treated at Hallis Hall or at Soldier Field. It's a joke. But I'm curious. Like, give me your grade at Soldier Field or at Hallis Hall. Like, I know you haven't been in the press box as often as you normally are, but I just like to hear the grades you guys would give, just so I can give my take on the rest of this.
You're asking me to grade?
Yes, your grades at Hallis Hall of, like, the amenities for you guys, or how your workplace.
Well, I think Hallis Hall is beautiful. Mm-hmm. I think the Midway and the PNC Center that they built, the press I think we all agree the press conference room could be a little bit bigger. But when they do have bigger press conferences, they do move around. Like, we were downstairs in that other big giant room by their studio for the Ben Johnson introductory presser. They literally have not touched my cubicle since I got that cubicle 15 years ago. So if there was anywhere where they could upgrade, it would maybe be the...
That's what I mean, like accommodations to work.
But it's all fine. I have no complaints about that. The press box at Soldier Field, everybody knows what it is. Nobody likes it. The Bears don't like it.
Because I know you guys mentioned the food started to get upgraded recently, right?
At Soldier Field.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was a Kevin Warren thing. So, like, looking through this whole list and listening to what Paul Allen says about how attention to detail, no stone unturned. Well, I mean, respectfully, ownership's to 13th. Grade A-. Okay, so that shows that they like Kevin. but the rest of these grades are, a reflection from the top down, right? Yeah. So,
well, it could be better. It shows you that they have room for improvement.
That's treatment of families 19th. If I'm Kevin Warren, if I'm George McCaskey, that's unacceptable, right? I mean, there's a lot of different things in here that you got to get this. You want to be world class. You want to get the $13 million head coach. That's why I think the transparency here and letting players do this opens their eyes to things without any vulnerability of who's saying it.
Real quick, there's some funny things I wanted to share before we move on. We got Fran Duffy coming in to talk about these defensive linemen. The Patriots hate their team playing.
Yeah,
they hate their team playing. By the way, I think the Patriots came in second to last. Cardinals dead last once again. Patriots hate their playing. The survey said players want an upgraded team plane. The current plane is too small. There is no Wi-Fi available, and there are seats with ashtrays in the armrests.
All right.
I don't know about you, but if I get on a plane and there's ashtrays, I'm worried. How old is this plane?
What is this, Major League?
Yeah, the plane in Major League. Yeah, okay, Robert Kraft. Let's get a new aircraft in there. Okay,
he's busy.
And then the other one, which I think we can all speak to because we were just in New Orleans. The food was amazing in New Orleans, right? It's one of the best food cities in the country, if not the best. The Saints ranked 29th in the taste of their food. 29th. That is the most inexcusable thing I saw in the entire survey.
Look at Hogue going deep into where there's good food and then finding the anomaly that is the Saints. That's why you listen to this podcast. Hogue will delve into a list and find a 29th Saints with all the good things down there that I kind of got sick at. Okay. We're moving along. Fair enough.
Fran Duffy coming up. By the way, I'm going to ask Fran to scout a media member.
Oh, really?
Not a draft prospect. I want to hear his thoughts on a combine performance so far.
I got a fun Fran situation for you coming up here. But first, man, could I use some nicotine? 100% pure. That would be sweet. Always tobacco free. That's right. Shout out to our friends at Lucy. The Lucy Breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken open to release that extra flavor and hydration. It's the good stuff here. Set up yourself with a subscription. Have Lucy delivered straight to your door. This is what you do. You go to lucy.co/CHGO and you use the promo code CHGO2025 and you get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Lucy.co. Use that code CHGO2025. Get 20% off. And yes, here's the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. And yes, the warning, this product does contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
You guys know I love my Factor. And if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved. They're ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel and feel great no matter what life throws at you. I got a new Factor box coming on Sunday, guys. So next week when we're back in studio, you're going to see me bring in my Factor every single day for lunch because you guys know I get in that room. There's no time to eat. I gotta get that thing going. They're fresh. They're ready to go. And they always taste great.
We got to get Merrill Hodge in one of these reads for the Factor backer. Every time I hear Factor, I think Merrill Hodge.
Guy doesn't know how to pronounce his last name. It's ridiculous. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto Meals. They have 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week. By the way, the menu updates each week. You go in there, you set it, you're like, I want this week. It changes, so it's not like you're eating the same thing all the time. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to eat smart with Factor by going to factormeals.com/Factor Podcast. That's your code right now, Factor Podcast. You'll get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code Factor Podcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Fran Duffy, our All-City Draft analyst, with us in person. Obviously, we've been having him on the show now for a few weeks. We're going to continue to have him on the show till we get to the draft and probably beyond that, too. He is our draft analyst. He knows the combine well. But our producer here, Steven, Fran, put together some statistics.
All right.
On one of us. It's actually me.
Okay.
Combine statistics. Okay. Now you're not gonna be able to see these, but I want the numbers have come in, and I want you to grade this combine performance. Yesterday, I walked 6.51 miles overall around Indianapolis.
Wow.
For a total of 13,332 steps.
Impressive number.
Yep. On 5.5 hours of sleep, and we counted 5 espresso shots were consumed, and I think 1 more energy drink as well.
So did you get the Dan Campbell recipe from Ben Johnson?
Yeah.
In terms of the espresso shots.
Yeah. You got to get that loaded up. What does he go, quad, I think, every morning?
Something like that,
Yeah, it's like a venti. Who knows? It's crazy. That's the combine life, right?
That's
Frank?
impressive, yeah. I mean, it sounds like a typical day here in Indy.
Well, that's right, yeah.
I mean, that's just how it goes. Especially, I mean, look, you walk the convention center. It's a labyrinth of hallways back here trying to get to where you need to go. But that's one of the best parts about the city is that it's so walkable. And then, obviously, at night, you're bouncing from place to place. You're going to get those steps in.
Greg, I'll let you tee this up. Defensive lineman here this morning. You guys, especially you two, Carm was there a little bit too, going hard at work, talking to these.
I was there a little bit.
I was going to say, I was probably giving you more credit than you deserve.
Oh, you're talking about early, not the actual interview.
He was putting in work.
Never mind. I'm not sensitive. Keep going.
No, it's certainly been an interesting day, right? Like you're gonna go see the testing on the field. You watch the film, but this is an opportunity, like you said last week, to find out about the person, and maybe not specifically about their game, but how they treat their teammates, how they treat their coaches, what do they think of their family and friends. Like those are some of the things that, when the teams are interviewing these players, that's access and knowledge that we'll never get unless we have this opportunity here. So I'm interested from your standpoint. I always find by the end of the week, there's always 1 or 2 guys that just jump off the pages, people that really just hit me, in my soul, somebody I'm just truly impressed with as a person. Have you found that person yet, even though we're still early in this process?
Yeah, it's tough because here, the way that they do it now, it's great because we have access to so many guys, but they're only out there for 12 minutes at a time.
Right.
And
half of them are like, have you met the Cardinals? Have you met the –
It's brutal. And then, thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had if you were a bird, what kind of bird would you be? We had those last year. So hopefully that guy stayed away this year. But
I will say, though, Roma Dunze passed that test really well last year.
What was his?
The guy was asking, do you think you could land a plane in an emergency or something?
Okay.
And he was like, no.
No, he said all souls would perish.
All souls would perish. I'm like, that's a great answer.
Which was a great answer last year, but this year I don't know if we're doing any plane jokes this year.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, but to me, I try and just bounce around and try and get a little bit from everybody, as many guys as I can get to, and so it can be tough. I try not to make over sweeping judgments based off of a 2.5 minute exposure to a guy. But I think that, to me, what I get out of it, I try and get these guys to talk about not just themselves, but their teammates, opponents, just little anecdotes here and there. I'll usually share a piece. I'll have a piece, I'm sure, up on CHGO that'll a lot of my little nuggets that I've gotten from these guys. I did something similar after the All-Star circuit, so I'll have something up on the site here in the coming weeks.
By the way, I just want everyone to know, Fran is a maniac. Okay, so
Franiac.
That's a good way to put it.
Thank you.
He's phenomenal.
He's a
right?
Franiac.
Fantastic.
I went in the our draft database. It's really Fran's draft database. It's ALLCITY's draft database. It's outstanding. And I went in there yesterday, and all of a sudden there's combine cheat sheets for every position.
It's awesome.
I have the edge one pulled up right now because we're going to be talking about the edge rushers later today. We'll plug that in a second. But this is just for the combine. He's got notes on all of these players and a lot of these guys you guys talked to today. So you're getting the amount of stuff in this draft guide. It's unbelievable. Become a diehard and you get it automatically. allchgo.com/diehard.
Yeah, and when you talk about how do they talk about their teammates? Shamar Stewart. We talked about him last week. I know you're big on this guy, or at least in terms of where we were talking about. Traits versus production.
Yep.
Right. And so a lot of the questions he would get is well, you've had a lack of production. And, so it was interesting to hear his teammates say how much of an impact he had on him. And, not everybody gets to eat. Only one person gets the sack.
Right.
But it's about who gets, the hurry, who affects the play. And I just thought he was pretty strong with answering his lack of production.
Yeah, I think that when you look at Shamar Stewart, too, I'm glad that you guys are starting to, profile him. Because to me, he is a Dennis Allen type of defensive end. He is that body type. And so when you look at the way that he plays, his highs look like what Cam Jordan has been in his prime in New Orleans under Dennis Allen. And so when I look at Shamar Stewart, you love hearing his teammates talk about him that way. So that's a nice little check mark here for this week. The next part of it will be, can he back up that the freak show athleticism we see on film? Will that carry over to the field? If you're not going to have the production, you need those traits to be able to show up in this environment. And so it will be big for him tomorrow.
But you don't love him, though, right? No, because I remember watching tape this weekend, and then I went to see what you wrote. And you think he's a one-move guy?
Yeah, I wanted to see more. From what I saw from him on film. Now, basically, the way that I try and approach it, Carm, is I'll go through. And this is how I've done it for years. Is I'll do 2 or 3 games early in the season. If let's say just from the final season on campus. I'll try and watch a couple games in October, November. If a guy's going to go to the Senior Bowl, I'll try watch another game or so, see him live in Mobile, and then I'll do one final watch post-combine. So that's coming here for Shamar Stewart, where I'll watch all of his pressures and things like that, the deeper cuts from the whole season, hoping to see a little bit more once I go back through and take that big sample.
Well, he did say, for the teams that don't draft me, I'm going to come to your city and give you hell.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
That was great. That was a great line.
My 8 minutes of watching him on YouTube this week, I'm like, this dude, and when you compare him physically, he could be a wrecker. But then I went and read your report, as we just said, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's not as crafty as he needs to be. But the physicality is there.
The highs, if you were to just stack up everybody's top 10 plays, his will stand out against everybody else.
Pretty relentless too. I was impressed.
Really impressive high motor plays.
So let's do this because you guys talked to a lot of these players today. I know we have some of this video. Let's go ahead and play some of it, and then we can get Fran to react to each player.
Okay,
too.
well I'll dial it up then because I talked to Nick Scorton. So while we just stick with the Shamar Stewart and Texas A&M kind of lane here, let's play the minute clip where Nick talks about him as a teammate. Steven will have that ready here in a minute. But while he gets that ready, maybe give your thoughts on Nick Scorton because I know some Bears fans are interested in him as well. Yeah,
Scorton's another guy I think that fits the Dennis Allen mold in terms of that bigger end. Now, I missed when he talked about it today, but from what I understand, he said he's down to under 270. He's in the 260s right now. He played at 280, 285 this season, so he's got that ability to put on a lot of weight. I know talking with some of his former teammates over the All-Star game process, they were like, yeah, he's a guy that can fluctuate, has that ability to kind of morph his body into whatever you need him to schematically. So he's a big player that wins with power. To me, he's at his best lined up far outside and where he can just crash. And that's something that Dennis Allen asks his guys to do.
And here's that cut with Nick earlier today at the podium, right? Yeah, here it is.
Yes, sir.
When I was talking to Shamar Stewart, we were talking a little bit about production. People are talking about, well, you didn't have enough production. But it's also about setting up guys like you. Can you speak about your teammates setting you up, and specifically Shamar?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was on third down, man. You knew we were passing the rock around. So, we have certain games where, you were hoping I became the free looper, he became the free looper. And it was like a lot of times, we had great players, having to cover for other great players. And that sacrifice, those guys made and I made as well.
How important is it for you with gap integrity in that regard? Not getting greedy, trying to get yours and staying in your gaps?
Knowing that to trust my coaches and, respect the game plan, who am I to step out of the game plan and, not, let my other teammates see when they do the same thing to me.
You said a couple times your uncle's a father figure too. Can you explain that a little bit? What did he do for?
So there it is with Nick Scorton from Texas A&M. You mentioned, the bigger size, 6'4", 282. You said he's come down a little bit, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get that updated, which is one of the great things about the draft guide. Constantly updates. You're inside the database that Fran and everybody's updating constantly.
Yeah. And to me, the thing with the production, too, and hearing Nick talk, it sounds to me a lot of the things we've heard from that Georgia program over the years, because a lot of those guys, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Trayvon Walker, they didn't have huge numbers when they were coming out. Everybody kind of got a little bit of piece of the pie. The linebackers were very productive. So I think when you look at this A&M defense, it could be that, hey, all of these guys just kind of took turns, but that's for all these teams to sort through.
Can we have a little tougher conversation, which was kind of the news of the morning, it felt like, with Mike Green? Mike Green came out, and I believe we have some of this video too, the Marshall prospect who it's just been kind of like a mystery, like why he was dismissed from Virginia, and now he's at Marshall, and he put up 17 and a half sacks this year,
like that,
just massive amount of production, and he shows up today, and I was not there, so you were there, right?
Yep.
Why don't you set it up, Greg? I mean, but basically he gave an opening statement addressing these allegations there against him.
It was really interesting. As soon as he walked up, he addresses the media. Nobody asked a question. He says, hey, look, I understand these allegations out there. They are not true. And he stood with confidence and conviction that teams understand where the process is right now and how it all played out, and then proceeded after that to be peppered for the 20 minutes for about 95% of the questions about these allegations. And even at one point, there was a reporter that asked him, have you had any previous allegations? And he said he had something in high school as well that came up. So this didn't have a police investigation that's currently happened in the last couple of weeks, but the high school one, there was a police investigation. The case was dismissed, and there was nothing there. And so, again, from what I saw, and you don't know, I'm not going to try to parse through what's true or not. He was confident and direct and trying to address every single question. It didn't shake him at all at one bit. So you can say he was coached up well by his handlers to be ready for this moment, but at the same time, he did, stand there. It's not an easy moment, and even address some of the high school stuff as well. So an uncomfortable scene for sure. And, obviously Mike Green had a standout moment at the Senior Bowl, and so his stock has been going up. But obviously this is going to have an impact as well.
Yeah, I mean, basically the way that this works inside every NFL building is you're going to have your director of team security that's going to be doing a lot of the digging there. Obviously the area scouts that are responsible for that area of the country, they're going to be doing their digging. Every single person that has any kind of source at Marshall, at Virginia, you're trying to gather as much intel as possible. So every team will get like your baseline. You're going to get all the police reports. You're going to get anything that is public record. That's your baseline. And then every individual team will do all their digging on their own, and then it's just going to be up to each team to make that decision. Is he on the board? Is he off the board? Is he, hey, you know what, like there's a walk-away point where, all right, like if he gets to this point, we're okay taking him. If not, then we're not there. And all 32 teams will make that call. The
Athletic had a good story on this today. Kevin Fishbane was, I think, one of two authors that worked on the story. But the little note in there with some of their reporting was, because you mentioned the multiple allegations, the one that goes back to high school. Apparently, one thing they had in that story was apparently when he committed to Virginia, because of whatever happened in high school, it was a zero tolerance policy. So then he gets this other allegation, which you mentioned, Greg, really hasn't been investigated and really going anywhere, but that kind of explains, I guess, what happened for him to, that Virginia said, all right, zero tolerance, well, something came up, bye-bye. And then he goes, it ends up at Marshall.
And he talked about that, and he talked about how frustrating it was that they didn't even give him a chance to have a say in it, and where his reputation was taken from there, and then how he had to go to Marshall and try to, prove himself to people who have a lot of questions about him as well. And so it's just, I just, in the morning, I'm standing with Emma, our social head, and it's just one of those things where you want to be delicate about what's going on. It's all coming, information's coming in, and there's probably more information to come. So I want to be fair to the process itself and just try to take for what I saw there.
Well, should we hear from him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think we have that. Sort of, we put a bunch of his stuff together, right? That's what we did here. So here's a sort of a sampling of some of the different stuff that Mike Green talked about over a 20-minute press conference where a lot of times at the draft, when the stuff like this is going on, they just come up, they're like, we're not addressing this. You gotta talk about it. And he just, it was a sort of a different experience. So anyway, here's Mike Green.
That nobody ever investigated. No, I've never been charged with anything, and I'm just going to continue to stick to my process and just tell the truth and how it is.
What caused Virginia to get rid of
at the time, the teams were able to just suspend you. I was suspended off the team. I had to depart from the university. I could have stayed at the university if I wanted to, but after I got suspended, I wanted a fresh start. I wanted to go somewhere that I was able to lay down a foundation, and that's what caused me to enter the transfer portal and go to Marshall. The thing that you need to know. I've been sticking to the process, like I said earlier, and I've been telling the truth. So I have no concerns, and I have no problem with talking to these teams about it because I know who I am and I know the truth. Everybody else that think they know the truth, that's not my concern right now.
How hard was that for you, like initially, as the accusations are being thrown at you, to stand on your convictions and with the understanding of what's on the line?
I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. I mean, simply because when you're being portrayed to be somebody that you're not, it's hard. And just going to another team, it's definitely a culture shock. When you go to different teams, everything's a lot different. And it took me a little bit of time to adjust. But after I adjusted to Marshall's culture and the fans, the family, and the university welcomed me in there, and there's no place that I would have rather been.
When you talk about the culture, then asserting yourself as a leader at Marshall, what was that process like for you?
Yeah, being a leader at Marshall meant everything. I mean, we were kind of taught to be mentors and not leaders. Don't be that kind of guy that just yells at somebody and try to tell them what to do, but show them how to do it. And I stuck to that, and a lot of guys looked up to me as a mentor. So whenever somebody needed help or whenever somebody wanted some assistance, like I was always there, and I found a lot of pleasure out of that and just helping other guys that want to be great.
When you're lined up across the guy from you, what's your thought process on how you're trying to get to the quarterback, set the guy up, and try to get, you want to get to your best move, but then your counter?
You said lined up against who?
Yeah, whoever you're lined up
just whoever?
against. Yes, sir.
It's a cat and mouse game. It's a setup. So normally what I do is I like to sell speed first, speed rushes. That kind of sets me up in order to do counters, inside moves, spins, and things like that. So it's going to be game plan. So it's just whatever I know the tackle weaknesses are, then that's typically what I plan for during the week.
Do you think the NFL?
All right, so there's Mike Green. There's kind of the newsiest thing of the day, so we'll kind of just let that stand for what it is at this point. But it'll continue to be a conversation going forward as we get closer and closer to the draft. And certainly somebody who could be in play for the Bears looking for an edge rusher. So I have a feeling we'll be talking about that a lot more. We got to let Fran go because he has a show coming up, one of many shows today. But quickly before we let you go, we also got to plug what you and I are doing later today, which I'm very excited about. So obviously we've had the All-NFL Monday Huddle that was going on throughout the whole regular season. Been a couple weeks off here since the Super Bowl. But between now and the draft, starting today, Fran and I are going to be breaking down a position every single week on that All NFL feed. So it's a separate feed. The YouTube channel, go check it out. It's All NFL. Please hit subscribe. If you like to listen to it as a podcast, it's available too on that feed. Just Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Same place you get this one. Go find it. All NFL podcast. It'll be one episode every single week between now and the draft. And today we're starting with the edge rushers, so it's timely.
Topical.
We're going to go through all of his favorite edge rushers and talk about them. And it'll be kind of more of a breakdown type deal where we go one by one through all these guys. A great way for you guys to get prepped for the draft. So looking forward to that, Fran. Yeah,
it's going to be fun doing one position a week. Obviously, we'll start with a bang with the edge rushers. Look, they talk today. We'll see them tomorrow on the field. Yeah,
so Fran and I will be live again later at 3 p.m. Central Time coming up after this. We got to let him go so he can go do PHLY. Appreciate it, Fran. Fran Duffy, our All-City Draft analyst. We got more on these defensive linemen, though. Carm, I know you talked to Jordan Phillips.
So, right, thanks to Fran. Hit the like button for Fran and everything he's doing. We appreciate everybody. If you're first time checking out the show, we are here Monday through Friday at noon. Subscribing is a great thing for us and for you, and turn those notifications on as well. But yes, so I go from podium to podium, Hogue. That's my strategy, and I'm looking for somebody, in essence, who I will gravitate towards because they're saying interesting things. And so I got myself in front of Jordan Phillips today. and he is.
That's frightening for Jordan.
It was frightening for Jordan, but he was sweating, just coming off the head there, and he just looked very intense, and so I was drawn to him, and so I liked his intensity. You guys see, I'm the mature one on this show. It's unbelievable.
Yes,
it's really incredible.
Yes.
But I am. So I'm like, wow, I like this guy's intensity. This is somebody that I want in my locker room. I'm enjoying what he's doing. And then he started talking about his background. So I wanted to find out where that intensity came from, Hogue. Where's the passion from?
Even this guy over here just gave you the weirdest look.
And here's my conversation with my new best friend, intensity. I'm drawn to him. That's right. Nose tackle. Could be impacting. Could be a Chicago Bear. Jordan Phillips.
Jordan, where does that always mature thing come from? Where'd you learn that?
Discipline. Like I say, growing up, you know what I'm saying, my mom, she was a single parent. We didn't have much, but we had discipline and we had respect. And so I always made sure to carry that with me throughout my time in high school, throughout college. It's just bred it in me.
Did she have to get after you a little bit when you were young?
I think all parents have to get after all children. You know what I'm saying? My mom held me to a high standard the way she did with all of her kids. And so, my mom is a huge part of my development as a man.
Did you hate it at the time?
I think all kids don't like being disciplined, but, it's for the better. I'm glad my mom pushed me hard. I'm glad my mom held me accountable because growing up as she did that, it then let me know the standard for myself. Now, as a result towards that, I will always hold myself accountable, and I will always hold others around me accountable the same way I hold myself.
Jordan, have you met with the Pittsburgh Steelers this week?
No, sir, not yet.
Jordan, have you met with the Cowboys?
No, sir, not yet.
Were you looking around at other kids and be like, why do they have that and I don't?
No. I'm not going to look at anybody else's plate. I'm going to focus on my journey. You know what I'm saying? My mom instilled that in me when I was a little boy, Yeah. And so I always had tunnel vision because my mother taught me that.
Who gets a shout out on any coaching staff that you've been a part of that helped you along the way too?
Man, every coach is from all the coaches at the University of Tennessee, Coach Gardner, Coach Heupel, all the coaches at the University of Maryland, even Coach Banks from the University of Tennessee, but even all the coaches at the University of Maryland, from Coach Brian Williams to Coach Michael Locksley, every coach on both of those staff have done an amazing job developing me as a man and as a great football player.
Sister Mom taught you to fight.
All right, Jordan Phillips.
I know you learned a lot from that, Hogue.
Yeah, the intensity.
Well, the mom holding him to a standard when he didn't want to do it, and he learned, I think, a lot of lessons early that he's carried with him through college. Just to read you, he's a powerful nose tackle, known for his work ethic and leadership from the NFL.com. You can make that face all you want. Phillips is compact and explosive at the point, but is inconsistent at controlling blocks quickly enough. He can work on that. Quick off the snap. Does lack a little fluidity. That's all.
No.
In general, gap sound, hard for blockers to finish, and yet he's yet to display he can provide pass rush production. That's okay. This is a rotational piece. Later in the draft, interesting dude, in the locker room, leader. I like him.
Okay.
Fell in love with Jordan Phillips.
Very good.
Just like I'm falling in love with the two of you all over again.
Carm found Jordan Phillips. All right, you guys also harassed Kenneth Grant, I'm being told.
We did.
Yeah, this was awesome. It was a really cool opportunity. Anybody that knows or watches this show knows I'm from Northwest Indiana, a.k.a. the region, as we love to call it. My mom and dad were both teachers in the Maryville School District for 40 years. So Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan, gave us a few moments, and that was really cool. And somebody the Bears certainly are going to have on their radar, and me and Mark had a chance to speak with him here earlier today.
The pride of the region, Maryville, Indiana's finest defensive tackle, Kenneth Grant from Michigan, joining the show here. Hey, we appreciate you coming on. How much are you looking forward to this? Because all the talk is about how you can really make an impact with your stock here and how you test this week.
Yeah, I mean, the experience has been great. I'm ready to show people what I can do. Just get out there and compete for my. This is where I race, so a lot of people are coming out to watch me, so I'm excited for that.
So, Ken, tell everybody why your dream is that the Chicago Bears would draft you. I mean, you had to watch them growing up, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Super Bowl parties. Back then when Devin Hester made that first kickoff return. I was watching that, so it's pretty good.
He's about to start crying.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, so when you talk about your game, I mean, with the Bears, they got a guy named Andrew Billings, right? He stuffs the run, but man, does he get to the passer and he get to the quarterback too. So for you, when you get to the NFL, like, how do you want your game to be defined?
Really balanced, disruptor, in the run game and in the pass game. I just want to be a game changer, game breaker, just do everything.
What do you like more, if you had to pick?
I think definitely stopping the run. It all starts with stopping the run, Stop the run so you get the ability to rush the pass.
What's it like to, when you're taking on a double team, like to just not try to get greedy, to still make an impact on the play when it feels like they're trying to phase you out?
Yeah, you just got to be a hard-nosed type of guy, got to stick in there. We call it strain, It's not easy, but you got to strain, Like whenever you do like a ab workout, you got to strain. So it's the same type of strain.
Jim Harbaugh loves you. What do you call you? Like the gift of the football god, whatever it was. What was it like playing for him?
It was great, to be honest. A great coach, down-to-earth person. He always kept it real, spread his knowledge of football. Just whatever it was, he was great.
I'll focus a little bit here because, to us, he's always comes across a little bit strange. But you're saying behind the scenes, he's like a different dude. Would you define like how would you? He's a little quirky, right?
Just a little bit, but that's his style. That's how he makes connections with people. But I think he's the same person every day.
The national championship part of your resume. I mean, that's some big time impressive. What did you? How'd you get there? What did you learn from it? Just being part of that.
That it takes everybody. Everybody on the team got to be on one accord. Just got to gel together at the right time. Can't take a day off.
Well, we're certainly rooting for you. Would it be a dream for you to win a Super Bowl with the Chicago Bears?
Oh, yeah. For sure. Super Bowl anywhere, especially the Bears, hometown.
Deep dish or thin? Deep dish or thin?
Deep dish. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah,
Sounds like you guys got another one.
Yeah. Braggs was in full I love you mode because he grew up with the Maryville Plus.
Yeah, absolutely. He's an interesting one, right? Like, because as we said, I think when he tests, he has an opportunity to really up his draft stock. And all the talk with Michigan defensive line this year is Mason Graham. And maybe he falls to 10, or maybe he's taken second in the draft. You never know with Mason. But the same can be said for Kenneth Grant. Does he find his way into the top 15? Or is he somebody that will be in the – I saw somebody in the chat say, if he's there in the second round for the Bears, you run to the podium. That goes without saying. So, like, how he tests this week, how the evaluation goes further for teams, is he going to be somebody that the Bears have a shot for? Or even if the Bears trade back in the first round, which is something I've advocated for, maybe that's where he makes more sense. But somebody of note for sure, and I'm rooting for him regardless as a guy from my area.
Shout out Hippie Nerd who wants him at 39 if he's there, running up to the old podium, get him.
So let me give you a little snippet here, a little sneak peek from the diehard draft guide.
The cheat sheet.
This is on Kenneth Grant. Of course, Fran writing it, Fran Duffy. 1-year starter on the interior for the Wolverines, dancing bear nose guard who can hold the point of attack while also showing flashes of being a disruptor inside. He has traits you cannot teach, and when he's on, he is on. But I just want to see more consistency from him. Not a guy who imposes his will on the game despite the tools at his disposal. Even if he doesn't figure it out and hit his ceiling, I like his floor as a run-stuffing nose tackle inside. Holds his ground really well, does not let ball carriers out of his grasp. He'll give effort chasing from the backside. He's a high floor, high ceiling player. Then you're going to get a lot more information in there. Physical tools, pass game, run game, breakdown. It's all that stuff you're getting in the draft guide from Fran.
Well,
Duffy.
and I talked to him at the podium as well, and with Mason Graham, if you watch the tape on Mason or Kenneth Grant, you'll notice Mason getting a lot of double teams at times, which then leaves Kenneth Grant one-on-one to make a play. And so at the NFL, that might not be the case, right? He's going to start seeing a few more double teams, potentially, depending on what team he falls to. So he said he looked forward to that challenge. And, as somebody that he prides himself on stopping the run, like he's just going to stay lateral and stay in the play and find a way to wall things up.
All right, one more piece of video I wanted to share with you before we get out of here on today's Wednesday show from the NFL Combine. Switching gears a little bit off the draft prospects now, back to the Bears head coach that a lot of people have been talking about down here. Ben Johnson getting he was pretty impressive yesterday from what I understand, with people noticing his press conference and things like that. So, but another guy that knows him well, Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, this was what he had to say yesterday.
I had so much fun talking to this dude.
Oh, well, Dan's the best, obviously. Dan Campbell talking about Ben Johnson yesterday at the podium.
I don't know everybody that he's hired, but I know probably half of them, and they're all really good coaches. I think he's built an outstanding coaching staff from the guys that I know personally. Certainly, I worked with DA, Dan Rochar, number of guys over there that I think are really good coaches. And so, look, it ought to be different to see him over there on the other sideline since he's been on ours for 4 years. That'll be different. But that's the way this game works. Somebody's got to be on our sideline, somebody's going to be on the other, and you play to win.
He said about not hiring his friends was part of his philosophy. Is that something that you did?
Yeah, I think you're fortunate if you can find the right guy that happens to be your friend. I don't think that's the easiest thing. If you can, good for you, man. That's awesome because it's somebody you really know, you can trust, they're competent, and they can coach. Those don't always go hand in hand. I think the worst thing you can do is just hire your buddy. But he's not real good at what he does, whatever that is. And no knock on anybody else, I'm just saying. So I think it's important you get the right guys. And they're about ball, and they're going to see it the way you see it. Look, it's no different than anything else. We line up and we play to win, no matter who's over there. I mean, and so, listen, he's still my friend, and I love him dearly. But we're going to have to play him twice a year.
Kind of bringing the show full circle back to Paul Allen. We were talking about Ben Johnson with him and the coaches in the NFC North. I love this division with the coaches.
It's awesome.
I mean,
we're finally in the fight, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Hard Knocks next year in season, but, I
like this.
I mean, I doubt the Bears will be on Hard Knocks again so soon, but I would just say if I was a fan that wanted to pick another division, because remember they did the AFC North this year on Hard Knocks in season, and that was pretty good too, man. You get to learn from Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh and Zach Taylor and Kevin Stefanski. Like, it was good, but if you had a Hard Knocks on these 4 teams with these 4 head coaches and some of these battles that are going to start to – I mean, he calls out Matt LaFleur in his press conference. He's friends with Dan Campbell, and they're going to be going at it. And then we heard Kevin O'Connell told you guys that they got a relationship and they're exchanging plays and stuff. So I just think it's going to be super fun to see these battles play out in the NFC North next season.
Well, it's just great that the Bears have the best coach of all of them, and we just went from the bottom to the top, and now we're. Start at the bottom and now we're here. Is that what the old saying is nowadays?
I don't know.
Isn't that a song, Emma?
Started at the bottom, now we're here.
Starting at the bottom, now we're here?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing.
Yeah, that's Drake.
Drake, right, Drake. That's my guy. I always listen to Drake.
Now he's back at the bottom.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm a big start at the bottom, now we're here, Drake, Bears, Ben Johnson guy.
Well, hopefully Kendrick Lamar will release a diss track about you then.
I'd listen to it. I think you should make a diss track about Carl.
No,
we had a moment last night at Courtney's extravaganza where I busted in a song.
I'm sure you did.
Emma taped it.
And I interrupted it because I was sick of it.
Got the microphone out and started singing Secret Agent Man for everybody in attendance.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what they wanted at the women at the NFL Combine event, was for Mark Carman to sing Secret Agent Man.
Caitlin Sharkey, Cassie Carlson, Courtney Cronin, every single one of the Carmen Vitale, they all wanted me to sing. And I said, okay, I'll do it.
I don't think that's how that played out at all.
What else we got here?
That was it. We got some super chats, and then I got to go prep for my
draft
for sure.
show. Well, and I know we have a few potentially recorded interviews coming up after the show as well.
Oh, that's right.
But I don't think we have anything else from the podium today. I just want to bring this up because Ben Johnson was on Part of My Take this morning, and it was a really good interview with Ben Johnson. He's done a bunch of interviews. I thought his interview with Waddle and Sylvie was really good too. I hope so much that Ben Johnson is a great coach for the Bears because he's a great conversationalist and somebody that really explains the game and has a personality. So please let this work out because it would just be so much fun to cover this guy as a coach for the next 10 years and beyond. But this was a quote that stood out to me in this interview from Part of My Take, talking about, the offensive line needs coming up here. And he was talking about the center position specifically. And the quote says from Ben Johnson, "It's less about me and more about the quarterback. With Caleb being a second-year player and everything that entails, I thought he had a productive first year in terms of exposure of a lot of things that can go wrong. To help him out the most going forward, I do think we need a strong presence at center, smart player that can help set the table for a run game and pass protection perspective."
Amen.
That's really interesting, and I don't know. That tells me veteran center. Maybe not a guarantee. Your whole Ryan Kelly take last week, if he doesn't retire, is that who would meet that criteria?
Not a bad name right there. Brilliant take by Carm once again. It's unbelievable.
I don't know. It stood out to me. Obviously, this stuff is a priority, so it's not a eureka thought here. But I just thought it was a notable quote from that interview.
No, that's interesting. What he has said about the offensive line last couple of days, especially the interior, I find to be very, very interesting. All right, let's get these super chats knocked out of here before we leave. Darth, where are we going? Which one? Darth Maul, $2.
Love you, Darth Maul.
This is bringing back an old. This one's an oldie.
Oldie but a goodie?
Yeah, Carm wants L-shaped measurements at the combine.
I do. Can't get enough details. It's important. Thank you, Darth Maul, for never forgetting.
Yeah, that was an old callback from a different combine. I think last year. Feels like 3 years ago.
Last year, Malik Neighbors.
Yeah. Orozco's living life with a super, says, great show, fellas. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. Braggs Carm Adam, please help. I'll be in town this weekend. Best pizza spots. I want you to give the one that you went to in Pilsen a month ago or so. Just make that up.
What, in Chicago?
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Pequod's is where you really want to go, in my opinion. Didn't you go pick up pizza?
Yeah, I did.
Too much dough, Pequod's.
You don't remember what it was, do you?
Yeah. Well, come on. This is on the spot.
You sent
novel
7 text messages.
Timeout. Novel Pizza Cafe.
Did you just time out me?
Yeah, because then I remembered. You put me on the spot. Novel Pizza Cafe. Get the Giardinera pizza.
Ooh, that sounds good.
It was phenomenal.
Just don't mess around. Go to Giordano, stuff spinach, call it a day. There's no need to overthink this. Robert's Pizza, which I was putting in the chat.
Giordano's down the street from where we're sitting.
Not the same. Get it in the region. Sit down and have it there. Or you want to go off the board?
Go to the region?
Go to the Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinder on Clark and get the pizza pot pie. That you can literally not get anywhere in the world if we're going to.
That's pretty good.
Completely unique to Chicago.
That's actually a really good one.
And I do love Pequod's, but it's a lot of dough.
Yeah.
You gotta go extra cheese and get the pepperoni.
All right. I think it's time to say goodbye, guys.
No.
Patrick will say goodbye.
Can't go.
He's working hard.
Pat's going to say goodbye?
Well, yeah, take your credential off, young man. Take your credential off. You're fine.
This is it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's our guy, Patrick. Come on.
What a great end of the show.
Yeah, turn on his mic.
Well,
there you go.
Steven will get your mic on here in a second. But Patrick's first ever combine, Emma Alperovich, our fearless leader here.
Let the record show.
Slay.
Pat made it to the end last night with Hogue.
I did.
Pat made it to the end. Greg dipped out early.
Everybody fell one by one.
Yep.
Last two standing.
Only the strong survive.
But
Pat's coming for you.
But I took a major step forward last night. Major step forward.
You did. You you sort of just like stood around till 1:30.
We're also the
didn't do a whole lot of networking.
You didn't really participate in anything, but you were trying to prove the point that you could stay awake.
That's right. I watched the Lakers and the Mavs. That was a great game last night. LeBron played great down the stretch. Shout out LeBron. Made me sick.
So what's it been like for you, first combine?
Hogue and I are, by the way, by far faster walkers than you
guys.
that
was a big discovery last night,
It's just a normal pace.
Okay.
I have an excuse.
Slow down.
Well, he says he's hurt too. But this is a true story from last night. We had 2 significant walks, and Pat and I were just walking at what we call normal pace, and then we turn around, and we're a block and a half ahead of these guys.
It felt like they were actually going the other direction.
I can't walk. I took 3 Advil when I got home last night. Yeah. I'm on the DL.
I did wake up sore this morning with all the. That's what made me look. The stats we shared earlier. That's what made me look up how much I walked yesterday, because I woke up sore, and I'm like, am I really this old?
Yes.
I am.
But I'm older than you.
That's also those calves, Greg. That's where they come from.
Those calves molded from.
Little sore today.
Hogue's got the best walk in all of media. He does this sway. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
That's not it.
No, that
Whatever
was
you just did is not it.
That was a little. Actually, I just went into Cody Del Mendo. That was a Del Mendo sway.
What's your favorite thing about the combine so far?
Sitting here with you guys.
Oh,
of course.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Probably all the walking. That's
walking.
pretty good.
The weather's nice.
Bad walker.
City's nice, right?
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I forgot to mention, one of the guys that I talked to I fell in love with today is self-proclaimed nerd who loves to build Legos and, like, play Marvel or talk to Marvel or watch Marvel. Howard Cross, Notre Dame, up front, D-tackle.
Yeah.
Undersized, but fantastic to listen to. Big fan. Howard Cross, the third.
Thanks for that, Carm.
Yep. Jacob Stout in the chat says, "Where's my
Ian
Rappaport interview, Brags?"
Yeah, where is it?
You know what, Jacob? You know how hard it is to get that dude on a show. But I will keep trying.
He's a wiggler.
I'm going to continue
I
to
can
harass him.
I can confirm that Ian knows who we are and is aware of our operation because I talked to him in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You're the guys that do that show."
We swapped out Rappaport. We're going Siciliano over Rappaport. Andrew Siciliano is my guy.
We are talking to Andrew Siciliano. We might talk to Charles Davis, and we probably will have Jonathan Jones on tomorrow's show.
That's right.
He had to push back a day just because of his schedule. Yep. A lot more coming this week from Indy. By the way, make sure you are, since Pat's sitting here, subscribe to his Digest newsletter. Comes out every morning. It's a great way. That's how I wake up. I catch up on all the things that – there's a lot of football in there too, but there's, I had to read what Seth Jones had to blast the Blackhawks one more time. Yep. That was interesting. And then he does so much stuff behind the scenes for across all of our sports, but it's great to have him here at the Combine too.
And also we'll have more content that you'll see throughout the rest of the day, that some of the podium stuff we'll put on YouTube as shorts, shorter clips. There, if you follow our Twitter page as well, there's additional content on there. And then, of course, like you said, if you sign up to become a diehard, you can get the inside look from you guys and Fran Duffy and everything in between at allchgo.com/diehard. So all the Combine info you need.
You won't see my conversation with Josh McCown anywhere because I didn't record it. But I did tell him that I was his number one fan, and he looked at me and he was like, "That's cool," and that's about it.
Okay, well, that's not a conversation. That's you creeping people out.
Yeah, no, McCown was he wasn't as enthusiastic about my love for him that I wanted him to be. It was a bummer.
That's great.
But I love Josh McCown.
No one cares.
Someday he'll be a Bear
Save
again.
that for the after show that also won't be recorded.
Love you, Josh McCown. Come back to the Bears. You were better than Jay Cutler.
2 more shows coming your way this week here from Indianapolis. We'll be loaded up with guests, more content with the prospects coming your way too. So make sure you are here as well at noon. Thanks to Paul Allen for joining us. His partner, by the way, in the booth, Pete Bursich, played at Providence Catholic. He's actually a Chicago guy, and
he's actually a Chicago guy.
God forbid I have a Chicago accent. Lived in Chicago my whole life.
This guy amuses himself in ways that is fascinating to the.
You just went on a tangent about how you harassed Josh McCown.
Oh,
I'm right, but I didn't openly laugh at it like this. He just said a bad joke.
Stephen will confirm that both of you are a major problem when I'm trying to close the show.
Yeah.
You both refuse to let it happen.
We like
every single day.
I've
right,
been
Steven?
silent.
It's
Every
not
single
me.
day.
It's him 90%
No, it's
of
not.
the time. Okay, I just did it, and it led to some fun things, so I don't want to hear it. And if you really want to finish this strong, we can talk about the game shows that Carm has been a part of in his life, or maybe for another day.
That was an unbelievable revelation.
See? Oh, now you don't want to.
We actually could do a whole podcast on it, and I think we should. But not today. It's not today. We'll save that for June. Come back tomorrow, noon, please. We're going to have a lot of fun the next 2 days. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
We all see